decide, discover, deliver, develop. 4 words for now. By the end of this, there'll be 4 life-changing tools applicable to any of life's situations. You will not find a list of techniques to follow, rather universal principles to utilize in your unique situation. You'll learn how to step outside of the 3D and enter 4D. Life and decision-making are inseparable. You and I are faced with thousands of decisions every single day, big and small, significant and trivial. Life itself is a decision. I didn't understand that, so through the monumental moments of my early life, I wandered aimless, unconscious, and empty. I went through the motions. My decisions were haphazard and reactionary. I was on autopilot. I fought to take control of the unmanned cockpit, but the free fall prevented me from reaching the controls. The turning point on my journey was understanding that a decision to change is not one moment. It's a progressive happening. Growth doesn't start, then stop in the same thought. It's infinite. I was amazing at making decisions, but even more amazing at not committing to any of them. I fraudulently hung my head high and presented myself as a together young man. But that's easy to do when the most important part of any decision is absent, the commitment. Saying I'm going to be a better person is easy. It sounds nice and makes you feel good, which is why I favored inaction. It was as if I stared all of my answers in the face, but then gave them all the cold shoulder. My lack of commitment was caused by fear. If you've felt this before, you're not alone. Welcome to the human race. A decision to change creates extreme cognitive dissonance and confronts our desire to know and our need for comfort. It's a lifelong commitment because change doesn't come overnight or just once in a lifetime. Once you make that choice, you sign on the dotted line an eternal contract with yourself to always decide growth over everything else. This decision is much more than a thought. It's also a feeling, a commitment, and a sign of self-worth, self-trust, and self-confidence. And action is simply the byproduct of all the effort made to commit to change. It flows naturally from you. It's like a bow and arrow. You pull back the cable and release to send the arrow flying. Pulling back requires all the effort, just like a decision. Letting go is effortless, just like taking action. Remember, your decision to be a better teacher, to change careers, or to cut the ropes of mediocrity is not a decision made. It's a decision committed to forever. Once that happens, you'll know what to do every step of the way.
I think that one of the hardest things for people to overcome in life is that feeling of wanting to be someone, or at least wanting to be the right someone. You may have or are going through this now, and some of you may not have gotten there yet, but a lot of people will wonder, what am I supposed to do with my life? So after you've decided, it's time to start the process of discovery. Growing up, I was a bit crazy. Some would say I had excessive amounts of energy. I was diagnosed with ADHD and put on meds that were supposed to help me focus, but they only seemed to confuse me because deep down inside, I knew I had something special to offer the world, or at least my world. Then at the age of 15, I was blessed with my son Connor, and instantly everything changed. All of a sudden, I had to figure everything out and become something real fast. I didn't have time for childish thoughts of grandeur. I needed to get a job and take care of my family like now. I can always revisit my aspirations later, right? Well, that's how it happens, folks. The trap that we all fall into. Life happens and it swallows us, and before we know it, time has passed. There are 2 ways that we typically succumb to this trap. First, and for me, it was a struggle. Struggles can reroute, reshape, or halt your life altogether if you let it. And the second way is a lack of direction. there's so many people out there that seem to want so much from life but can't seem to find a direction, so they wander aimlessly. And in both scenarios, time is the ultimate salt in the wound, isn't it? Time passes by and we begin to lose this ability to believe in ourselves and what we're capable of. How was I going to take better care of my family and not hate myself? So I started, and I thought, there's got to be a better way of doing this than, there's got to be a way to provide and be happy. So I started taking in massive amounts of information. I started reading lots of books. I started learning new skills, and from those skills came new pursuits. It was kind of like a spider web of different paths. But we all know where a spider web ends up. All the lines and the links lead to the center. And yeah, I may have taken a lot of side routes and backtracked, even stood on the edge, but ultimately I'm led to the middle. And that's what it takes. Commitment to find it, to never stop. Now, passion is a buzzword that we hear a lot right now, but not everyone's passion can sustain them in life. What's more, not everyone's good enough at their passion in order to make a living. So, in a lot of cases, what we teach is what we call the crossroads calling. This is a sweet spot in your life where the road with your skills meets the road of your passions. Sometimes we are really good at something that just isn't our passion. So my challenge to you is, take a deeper look at your passions and your skills. I'd be willing to bet there's a sweet spot where those two characteristics cross. And yeah, you might have to get creative, but who knows? You might find something new to offer the world.
So there you are, standing in the middle of a crossroads with no sign, no map, no one to take you by the hand to show you the way. You'll want all the help you can get because the crossroads is an obscure and opaque point in life. However, the pinnacle of growth is the constant decision to change. And the crossroads is where you stand weak at the knees, out of breath, and exhausted. It's where you get to let go of everything you've let weigh you down and take a single step, then another, then one more until you're walking down the path you've created. Let me tell you what it felt like to walk down this path. I served at LDS Mission in Bogota, Colombia for 2 years. I joined the LDS Church just 1 year before I left on my mission, and prior to joining, I lived a good life with ups and downs like all of you. But I could almost grab hold of the chaos I felt within. There was a thunderstorm deep down. No signs of a sunny day peeked through the dark clouds on my horizon. While in Colombia, I walked the dirt roads under the scorching heat and amid the damp, humid air. However, I never felt so comfortable. Because it was there, I met myself at the crossroads. My passion for progress and skills and leadership met head on. I didn't have a thunderstorm within me anymore. It turned into a burning desire to teach others. I started to deliver on my discovery to learn and lead. I acted. I didn't wait or make excuses like it's not the right time. It wasn't a hard transition. The tough part was already over. All I had to do was take a step. I believed my heart and mind would fill in the blanks that all of us encounter immediately after we ask, how? It's so easy to get caught up in the details of how. But how is a question asked on the go, never stagnantly. Asking how as you act will provide the answers, and often the solutions deservingly arrive before the question is even asked. I learned not to waste all the energy and resources for plans that will not culminate how I initially imagined, and focus it on taking action. I promise your brain is a trustworthy ally if you simply let it shine. Plans change, ideals and values don't. All of you do me a favor and in your seats, take a step forward. Effortless, right? What you just did symbolizes how easy it is to take that first step on your journey if your decision to act is wholehearted and you believe in yourself. I didn't know how easy it was to act until I decided I could. The power comes from belief. I decided to teach others about personal growth, so I worked with my brother building Life Decided. We didn't know how, but we knew why. Our hearts and minds pulled it all together as we took small step after small step. It's not about having a detailed blueprint. It's about making a wholehearted commitment and acting. Action's life's panacea.
One of the things that led me into creating 4D Living with my brother was the study of business. We've all probably heard that half of small businesses fail within the first year, but even scarier is that 95% fail after 5 years. And one of the main reasons for that is they work hard and they have a little well-deserved success and think all is well, but fail to realize that the marketplace requires constant growth. And a plateau business is just a fish in a barrel waiting to be shot. Your true happiness is designed the exact same way, but your ego is a clever little sucker and it knows you better than anyone else. And it can trick you into feeling happy when in reality, you're just comfortable. You can live 3 of the Ds. You can decide, you can discover, and you can even deliver. But the fact is, there is no one thing that makes everything good. There's so much more out there that we don't know yet. And how else would we get there without constantly striving to get there? It's kind of like that story of the small fish who was born in the small pond. Her growth was limited by the size of that pond until one day she leaped into a bigger, scarier pond. She had to fight her way through fear and all sorts of struggles until eventually she became the biggest fish in that pond. It's a great story, but I've always wondered, does it end there? Or does she leap again? And who's to say that next leap doesn't put her in a lake or a river? What then? You see, with this mindset and persistence, growth becomes unlimited. And unlimited growth is unlimited happiness, no matter the scale of it. Abraham Lincoln said, give me an axe, or give me 6 hours to cut down a tree, and I'll spend the first 4 sharpening the axe. Was he referring to the idea of understanding your task before you tackle it? Or was he simply illustrating an iteration of the process of growth? And you may be thinking, this all sounds like a lot of work, but another thing we're programmed with as humans are defaults. Just like a computer, we have default settings that we revert back to under stress or when we don't know what else to do. And just like that fish, when we leap into the bigger pond, we need to make that pond our new default. We should always strive to raise our defaults. Now, can everyone do me a favor and take their finger and stick it in the air like this? Great. Now listen very carefully, because the truth is, we cannot truly know what our calling is, simply because as we grow, we become capable of more. New loves, new passions, desires, dreams, hopes, and potential. And if you stop, who's to say what could have been next? And ultimately, you don't know what you don't know. Go ahead and take your finger out of your ear. That was just so that what I said didn't go in one ear and out the other. Don't get me wrong, there is an ultimate goal we should all strive to achieve. And that goal is to serve others, because we are all in this together. And the more we decide positively, and the more we discover and grow, and the more we deliver on these commitments, and the more we develop all these attributes, the more we become. So the more we can offer. Thank you.